I was just thinking about it, and I think that commercials were integral to our childhood. They made us the people that we are today, and without them, we wouldn't be the same. Welcome to Just Thinking About It, a podcast where I share all my thoughts. My name is Alexis Dolak, I'm 20 years old, and I spend most of my time just thinking. So in turn, I have a lot of thoughts. And this week, I've been watching more cable than I have in, I want to say, the last 6 or 7 years. Just out of sheer boredom. I'm too lazy to log on to Netflix or Hulu. Who even knows if this country has Hulu? So cable has been where I've been at. And I find myself, so the way that it works is it's cable, but it's those automated DVRs, so you can skip and fast forward through the commercials because it's just recorded and saved. It's kind of like the TV network's own Netflix, I'm going to call it. But instead of skipping ahead of the commercials, I find myself watching them and enjoying them. So it got me thinking, like, why do commercials have such a nostalgia? Why do I miss watching commercials? But before we get into that, I want to get started with Song of the Week because this is something I do in my other podcast, the OG of OG podcasts, Past the Grimdell, with my best friend Livia, and we always have a Song of the Week. So this week's Song of the Week is Bad Idea, Right? By Olivia Rodrigo. It's an amazing song. Every time I listen to it, I feel like I'm in the teeny boppy 2000s montage, 2000 movie montages where they're like about to get ready on a date or something and they're like flipping through their closets trying to, I don't know, but it just makes me feel some type of way, and every time I listen to it I re-experience the feeling of being in a movie. So that's safe to say it's my favorite song for the week. Anyways, back to the commercials. So nowadays, we don't have commercials, right? Because you could pay for YouTube Premium, which my lovely father, canceled, and I'm feeling the effects of that. Anyways, YouTube Premium, we got Netflix, we got Hulu, we got Paramount Plus, we got all of these streaming services, all right? Now, granted, some of them you have ads, which makes no sense because you're paying for it, so why do you still have ads? But anyways, most of them you don't have ads, or if you do, you have 5 seconds that you have to watch, and then you can skip ahead. When I was sitting down watching Phineas and Ferb, Fish Hooks, and Hannah Montana, there was no skipping ads, and we were forced to sit down in front of the TV and watch these horrible commercials. But you know what? It built a sense of community. All right, ready? 1-800-588-2300 Empire today. You sing along with me, right? Or what about Stanley Steamer, your certified cleaner, right? You know that too. Everybody knows all of these commercials, or I hope you know these commercials because I don't even know if they play everywhere, but you know these jingles, right? They build a sense of community. When you're walking around or at school, when you talk about whatever latest as seen on TV toy that you really want, but the only reason you even know what that is because of the commercials. Or the OxyClean commercials, all right? So I can't remember how old I was when this happened. It was a very long time ago. But I remember I was in summer camp. We were doing our little summer camp group things. And my camp counselor checks his iPhone 3G or 3GS, whatever 3 it was. He checks it and he goes, "Oh my God. The guy from the OxyClean commercials died." And I remember we all had a moment of silence. We were all so taken aback and devastated by this man's death. And the only place we ever saw him were in commercials. So you mean to tell me that commercials aren't important? And you know what? You know those commercials were never the same after he died. Those OxyClean I couldn't get the stains out the same without him. Without the star of the show. I'm pretty sure he was Australian or something. I don't even know. But I remember him dying all because of the commercials. And that's the only reason I even know who he was, okay? Something else about commercials is that it showed us what patience meant, okay? Nowadays with these iPad boogery kids skipping the ads, they don't understand. All they have is instant gratification, okay? Not to say we didn't have instant gratification, because we did, but at least we had to wait 5 to 7 minutes in between each scene or integral part of the show before we could continue on. How do kids even like refresh themselves to continue watching the show? Because I remember I used these commercial breaks. Timer was on, all right? Timer was on. I had 5 to 7 minutes to get a snack, to use the bathroom, to yell at my brother, to play with my dog. I had a whole list of to-do things in between commercial breaks that had to be done before the show got back on because I wasn't missing the show. I could rewind it, but I had a weird thing that I hated rewinding shows. Like, they needed to be on the live exact time. I don't know. I was weird. Also, I was super weird, and that depending on each channel, I knew when they would time their commercials. For each of my favorite shows, I would like calculate I wouldn't use a calculator, all right? I wasn't that sophisticated, but I would be like, all right, Hannah Montana has X amount minutes of commercials. I think it was like 8 to 9 minutes of commercials, and the whole episode is about 21 minutes because it was a half-hour showtime. Or when my show started, started watching quote-unquote big girl shows. I remember since those were 44 to 45 minutes of showtime, 15 minutes of commercials, but they would break up the commercials differently. It wouldn't be the same. But anyways, suffice to say, I was weird, but I had it down to a science. Okay, I would flip in between channels. This was more when I was a kid, when my attention span was really horrible. Like if I was watching Phineas and Ferb and he was a commercial, there he goes to Hannah Montana, so I can watch Hannah Montana instead. Like I would just flip flop between, because I wasn't sitting there watching a commercial about some lawyer trying to sell me stuff, or those as seen on TV products that my parents would never buy me. That's a lie, because I think I had a few, but I was very selective about what I chose to ask. But I'm getting ahead, because that was also an integral part of our childhood. But let me get to that later. So all in all, I just want to say that these kids today have no grit. There is absolutely no resilience to them. How could they be resilient without commercials? Who is their OxyClean guy? Who is their seal person? You know the commercials where they're sealing, every single commercial it gets some more wackadoo, where at first they seal in a kayak and the kayak still floats with whatever spray they use. Then they have a house in a tank, and then they fill the tank up with water and the house gets no water in it. And you know what? That's the one product that I refuse to believe is a gimmick. That product, if my house is flooding, I'm gonna think of that product and use it to fix it. Because every single time they make it more believable. But I'm still getting ahead of myself. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't even have anything to say. I'm just at a loss for words that they don't have commercials. You mean to tell me they didn't have to sit through the crappy local car dealership commercials? Please tell me this isn't just a New Jersey thing. But growing up, they were the worst, poorest quality, poorest edited, like the worst commercials ever were the local car dealership ones, where it was the two faces, like the two macho dudes that are the face of the thing saying, you want to buy a car? You got to come to Salerno and Dwayne. And then they'd have like the cruddiest $20 jingle at the end of it too that would be stuck in your head, and you're like, well, at least it worked, but still, like, I don't want to buy a car from you. I'm 12. I don't know. I just thought those commercials were honestly the weirdest ones. But circling back to gimmicks, let's get back on the track of these gimmicks, because commercials taught us what gimmicks are. Because for some reason as a kid, I just couldn't conceptualize what a gimmick was. I was like, I just didn't understand it. But then as I grew up and watching more of these as seen on TV commercials, I started to understand that no, I don't think that this little ice packet you put in a cup and you shake it around a little bit is going to turn it into a slushie. Like, I think that's fake. Or those balance bands, whatever they gave you, that whatever they were like, it channels the inner Buddha and makes you. It had some like weird. That bracelet one was really gimmicky, but I understood that. I was like, there's no way this bracelet can make you balance. Or what about those floating balls? I wanted a floating ball so bad. They would like juggle it in between their hands. Now that's a gimmick. And I only understood what a gimmick was after watching so many of these gimmicky commercials. Did any of you guys ever own one of those balls? Because I feel like maybe if I bought it, I could have made it work. I was a very determined and motivated little child, and if something would, or what about those fuzzy worms that they would be like, oh, they're like, they move by themselves, but really it was a clear line at the end. I remember buying it at Five Below. Now that I think about it, I feel like the only as seen on TV products my parents ever bought me were the ones they could find at Five Below, which respect. But anyways, I remember opening the package outside of a Five Below in a parking lot and being so utterly disappointed that these worms don't like just move on their own, which in retrospect, duh, it's a toy. But I was so disappointed. But the slushy things, I had one and I have to say it worked. Like, as gimmicky as it sounded and as gimmicky as it honestly was, it kind of worked. Did I only ever use it once and then put it back in the freezer, forget about it until we got a new freezer and threw it out? Yeah, but it worked that one time and I was the happiest child for those 20 minutes. It worked. Or those gyro bowls. But that I couldn't ask my parents for right away because I was like 10. I had to wait until my brother came around to really ask for the gyro bowl. It was those bowls that are stable, like the stable bowls that had the stabilizer in them. I really wanted one, and I got it once my brother was like old enough to eat the little crackers out of them because he's 8 years younger than me, but I was also super happy with those too. I'm trying to think of more as seen on TV products, but man, I must have pestered my parents so much. Honestly, I think half of the revenue from these as seen on TV companies were probably from parents who just wanted their kids to shut the hell up, and they were like, you know what? We're going to buy it for you. Just please shut up. And they probably hated those commercials playing over and over again because all that made us want to do was buy them. I think the best part about watching commercials as a kid after being too old to watch Nickelodeon or Disney, not that I was too old. I think I was just like too mature for my age. So I started watching Discovery Channel, TLC, all those type like that, all the ones that are owned by the same parent company. But I would watch the ones that were appropriate to me. Gold Rush, for instance. I was obsessed with Gold Rush. Or Pawn Stars. Pawn Stars was my favorite show as a kid. But the commercial breaks, they would play the commercials from the other TV shows on them. And obviously on TLC, there were those raunchy reality TV commercials, or there was like the Naked and Afraid ones too. I love that show, but in secret because my parents didn't like me watching it. Like the Naked and Afraid ones, and then they would play the commercials, and then my parents would be like, Lexi, what are you watching? Like, this is not appropriate. I was like, no, I'm so sorry. And then I'd have to change it, but then I'd flip back after the commercial breaks because I would time them because I was a crazy child. Also, pro tip and fun fact for those of you who still watch cable out there, which I guarantee you is 0 of you, me included, the first commercial that plays is always going to be a network commercial from that network. So if it's a Discovery Channel, it'll be a Discovery Channel commercial, TLC, Nat Geo Wild, whatever it is, History Channel, whatever. And then it'll be regular commercials. And then the last commercial before the show starts again is going to be another network commercial. And me, again, crazy child, would remember that. And every single time, that's how I prepared myself. That's how I timed myself. I was like, oh, this is a network commercial. Show's about to come on. I gotta flush the toilet. I gotta take my stuff out of the microwave. I gotta get ready to watch the show. Yeah, I was a bit of a weird child. And I watched way too much TV. Because why did I have everything timed? I remember there was something about 5:12 or like 11:12 at the 11 mark. So like if a show started at 4:11, they would play the first set of commercials, and then at 21, I think it was the next set of commercials. But I remember when I would get so mad, it was in between shows. So let's say a show aired from 5 to 5:30, and then another from 5:30 to 6. There would be extra commercials between the two shows to like buffer them, I guess. And I would be so mad that I would click to another station and watch another show. Clearly I have no patience, but now that I think about it, I'm so glad I had to do that. I don't know. Commercials honestly just really got me thinking. Or what about like, this has now absolutely nothing to do with commercials. It's just a marketing campaign. What the hell was that Got Milk marketing campaign in school? Don't ask me why I just connected those two dots, but why? What were they? Were they trying to get me to drink more milk? I hated milk. I drank strawberry milk, and I remember ordering my chicken patty with the strawberry milk, looking at the Got Milk poster behind the lunch lady thinking, well, I hope this works. Did we not drink enough milk as a kid? Did we need calcium? What was the deal with that? And why? And I remember thinking, why do they all have mustaches? I don't want a milk mustache. I still don't know. 20 years later. Do they still have those posters up? I hope to God not. I have to ask my brother this. He's in 7th grade. He would know. All right, so that's about it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. I plan on posting weekly episodes. Honestly, I might post some more because I do think a lot. But thank you for watching, and definitely follow this and subscribe to my YouTube for more of these videos, but follow the Spotify. And also follow my Instagram at Alexis Lavora and my other podcast at Pass the Grimsel. All right, now actually I'm done. Bye, guys.